Hey guys, so the question for today is what is depression? Now, almost everyone across their life at some point or the other go through this very dark, isolated phase. This place where they feel so lonely, so secluded, feel so bad. They just, it's hard to get out of bed. What is this? Well, one of my very liked actors is Jim Carrey. He is someone who is also, on this path and of awareness. And how did he describe depression? He says that it's just that you don't like the idea of yourself in your mind. That is depression. So what do I know about depression? Well, like every other thing that I will be talking about on this YouTube channel, I only speak from my own personal experience. So, across my life, I have been through these very dark phases. These times when I didn't know, like what I should be, doing. How can I fix this feeling inside myself? So perhaps it was times when, like when I moved to Australia, when I from India, and I just had these sort of anxieties over these small things, you judge yourself based on how you judge others. It's a two-way road. So if you judge someone else in a way and you judge yourself in a certain way, and in a way, I had, as I was growing up, had these conditionings around in my mind, looking at how other people judge other people in certain ways, and I kind of picked it up. And even though I never truly believed in it or saw the real value in it, that judgment system was taken over by me. So now I was judging myself based on the same expectations. So I didn't like that. I didn't like this idea I had of myself in my mind, and over time it kind of got worse, or at some points it got better, but again it got worse. It was giving me pleasure and then pain and then pleasure and then more pain, and oftentimes it was a lot more pain than the pleasure that I received from it. It was just not worth it. So this pain, well, for sometimes it could be, for some people it might be body image, right? For me, we'll make a video on this again later, but one of the biggest obstacles that I had to go past was my relationship with food and how I felt about my body, about how I judged my body, how I judged other people's bodies, but mostly myself. And so in this scenario, stuff like that kind of made me feel really bad. And at this one point of my life, in school, in year 11 or year 12, when I used to, walk around and I used to watch all these movies and think that, oh, this is the ideal life, this is the ideal life. And I was not living up to it. I was feeling so low. And in that lowness, well, I didn't realize what the problem with it was, how to fix it. And when did I realize this? Well, when I was sort of getting a bit more pleasure out of this idea structure that I had. And then I realized that that pleasure goes away at some point. Anyways, so this idea that you have of yourself in your mind. Usually, as marketers say, people have an, ideal expected self-image that usually people try to sell you certain sorts of brands, certain sorts of equipment to tell you, what, you use this and oh my god, you suddenly become, you drive this really fancy car, or you wear this Rolex and then you suddenly, some really classy person, and then they show these advertisements with that person and you see that advertisement and you imagine yourself as that. And so it becomes part of this, ideas, your idea. For example, who are you? Let's say if I ask you who you are, perhaps you go all right, I'm a guy, I'm a girl, I'm from this country, I drive this car, I work as this thing, so I have this wife, I have this husband, whatever it is, right? All of these are just ideas. Who is the real you? That is the question. So, when you have these ideas around yourself, and you don't live up to these ideas and expectations, you are so harsh on yourself. That is depression. And when you're going through all of this stuff, in fact, it's not a punishment in a way. Sure, you're punishing yourself, but the emotion that comes out of it is not a punishment. It's one of the best gifts that you could ever have. For example, like I was to go and pinch you on your elbow, right? You look, you go like, oh shit, okay, what is this? What's happening? Same way, when you have any pain across your body, you look, where is what's happening? Same are true with emotions. When you have a certain emotion, it's there for a reason. It's pulling your attention to it. When you feel sad, when you feel isolated, you need to pay attention to it. But in today's society, people don't want to do that. People want to constantly pretend that everything is okay. And that's fine as well. That's not anyone's fault at all. It's a natural reaction. That's what I was doing. And a lot of people want to just somehow distract themselves from it. So they might be like, all right, I'll go out a lot. I'll just go out, drink a lot, smoke a lot. I will go to the gym. Like, I mean, going to the gym is amazing. But for example, there were times when I used to wake up in the morning and feel so isolated, feel so lonely, feel so, like not in terms of just lonely in terms of people. I had so many friends around myself, like who I was like, chilling with, hanging around with, but it was a different kind of isolation within. And I used to question, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And then what would I do? Well, I would just do anything that I could do to not feel that. So I would just wake up, just go to the gym, and then like sometimes I was at the gym for 2-3 hours, like not so much mainly because of like, just being like, just working out, like in terms of being healthy. It was more so this trying to fill up this void somehow. Same way with like other interactions I was having. And so this is what most people do, and that's fine. Like every single thing that you interact with outside you, be it a food, be it a drug, be it any relationship, it can either be a medicine or it can be a distraction. And for me, and for a lot of people in my shoes, it is a distraction. So all of this depression, right? Think of it as a good thing. Think of it as something that, okay, that's pulling your attention. You go and you focus on it. And we will talk about this more in depth in other videos to come. However, the main point being that there is this idea that you have of yourself in your mind. And this is what an ego is. It is, rather than living life in the moment, here and now being, you're looking at it through this filtered lens. You've got these glasses on, like, maybe perhaps they're some color, maybe orange, and then you're looking at everything through orange. And the whole process of meditation, of awareness, of whatever it is to balance you out in terms of your experience. When you take off these glasses and you finally feel free, because you're not judging yourself, you're not judging anyone else. And the bottom line being, right, like you cannot expect to judge anyone else at the same time, not thinking that you can judge anyone else without judging yourself, because that's not how it works. The moment you create a sort of like a ladder of this is the ideal and this is not, automatically if you put other people onto that scale, you put yourself onto that scale. And a big problem today that I feel for myself was just that this scale is given to us by our society. It tells us this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. And so automatically we all start judging ourselves on it, because that's what perhaps our parents do, that's what we've seen our teachers do. And so we've just assumed that it's the natural state. However, it breaks you over time. And that's fine, like you keep going with it, you keep staying on this until you finally, after some point, perhaps you reach a certain level on this ladder and you realize that all of this is meaningless. And we'll talk more about this in another future video.